Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something pretty cool. We're talking Podcastle today, and let me tell you, it's like having a whole production crew crammed inside your computer.
And you know it's wild. It's not just about having a bunch of fancy features. It's about how AI can actually elevate your podcast.
Okay, so first things first, sound quality. It's make or break, right? What's the deal with Podcastle? How does it make our voices sound, like we want them to?
Imagine this. You're interviewing someone and they're in a busy coffee shop, or maybe construction's going on next door.
In there.
Podcastle uses AI to zero in on their voice and filter out that background noise so your listeners get a clear, clean listening experience.
Okay, that's huge, especially because not all of us have a fancy recording studio. But what about when you're already in a quiet environment? Does Podcastle still make a difference?
Absolutely. Even in a quiet room, you'd be amazed by what it does. It's like taking a photo and making it super sharp. Podcastle does that for audio. It enhances your voice so it sounds richer, more polished, like you're in a professional studio, even if you're just using your laptop mic.
That's pretty slick. It's like having a sound engineer fine-tuning everything behind the scenes. But let's talk about remote interviews for a sec. We've all been there. The internet decides to act up at the worst possible moment. How does Podcastle handle those inevitable tech hiccups?
Okay, get this. Instead of relying on a perfect internet connection for everyone during a live recording, Podcastle lets each person record on their own device locally.
Smart.
And then it syncs everything seamlessly in the cloud. It's like magic.
Hold on. So even if my internet goes down in the middle of an interview, my audio is still safe. No more lost recordings.
You got it. No more awkward silences or having to re-record. Podcastle takes the stress out of those tech worries so you can focus on the conversation.
I can see why people are loving this. Okay, we're just getting started though, right? This is a deep dive. What else can this AI wizardry do?
Get ready for this picture. This scenario, you're editing, and you realize you messed up a word or two. No need to re-record the whole thing. You can just type in the correction, and Podcastle will generate the audio using its text-to-speech feature, and it sounds incredibly natural.
Wait, seriously? So it's like having a voice double who can perfectly mimic me.
Exactly. But think beyond just little corrections. Imagine creating different voices for, say, an audio drama, or even translating your podcast into other languages to reach a global audience.
Wow, the possibilities are pretty amazing. But let's be real for a second. Editing audio can be a pain. What's Podcastle's solution for making that whole process less tedious?
Remember how we talked about text-to-speech? Well, Podcastle uses that same tech for editing. It transcribes your audio, and then you can actually edit the audio by editing the text.
Wait, what? You're telling me I can delete an or even move whole sentences around just by changing the text?
That's exactly it. It speeds up the editing process like you wouldn't believe. And having those accurate transcripts makes your podcast more accessible, which is a big win.
Accessibility is so important. Okay, let's talk about the fun stuff, music and sound effects. What does Podcastle offer?
They've got you covered there, too. Podcastle has this built-in library of royalty-free music and sound effects that you can use without worrying about copyright issues.
So no more endlessly searching for the perfect track. That's a relief. But how do you even begin to navigate a whole library of sounds? It sounds a little overwhelming.
It's actually really easy. You can search by mood, by genre, or even by keyword. And here's the cool part. Podcastle actually analyzes your podcast and suggests places where music or sound effects might make it even better.
Okay, now that's just smart. It's like having a virtual producer giving you suggestions. But hold on, you mentioned earlier that you can publish directly to platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Tell me more.
It's seriously simple. Once you're finished with your episode, just a few clicks, and boom, you're on all the major platforms directly from Podcastle.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's say I'm convinced. I want to give Podcastle a try. What's the platform itself like? Is it easy to use, even for someone who's not a tech whiz?
You'll be happy to hear that Podcastle is super intuitive, even if you're not a tech expert. Getting started is a breeze. You sign up, and you're pretty much good to go.
So I can record straight into Podcastle, or I can upload my own audio files.
Exactly. Options are always good, right? Especially because, a lot of podcasters have their favorite recording setups.
Totally.
And for remote interviews, it's even easier. Before you hit that record button, just a quick check that everyone's internet connection is stable. But remember, even if there's a little glitch, those individual recordings are still safe.
Right, because it's recording locally.
Exactly. You can start the whole interview right there in the platform, and Podcastle handles the rest.
It's like having that invisible tech support, making sure everything goes smoothly. Okay, so let's say we've got our conversation recorded. Maybe even had to give a little thank you to Podcastle's AI for saving us from some background noise chaos. Now it's editing time.
This is where Podcastle's AI really gets to work. Like, it's time to shine. As soon as your audio is up there, it starts transcribing everything. And these transcripts, they're not just for show notes. This is where the magic of text-based editing happens.
You know, we've mentioned text-based editing a few times now, and I have to admit, it still kind of blows my mind. It's like something out of a movie, right? You can change reality just by typing on a screen.
I know, right? It really is that cool. See a long pause that you don't want? Just delete it in the text, and boom, it's gone from your audio too. No more fiddling around with those tiny waveforms trying to find the exact spot to make the cut.
That's amazing, especially for those of us who maybe use a few too many ums and ahs when we're recording.
Tell me about it. And here's the best part. A lot of times, Podcastle's AI is so smart, it catches those filler words and just takes them out automatically. It's like having a superpowered editor who makes you sound super articulate and polished.
Okay, this is just getting better and better. It's like they've thought of everything. But I know there's more to this AI audio enhancement stuff than just removing a few ums and ahs, right? What else can it do?
Think of it like this. Remember how photographers use filters to enhance their photos, to bring out details, create a certain mood?
Yeah.
Podcastle's AI can kind of do the same thing for your voice. It can adjust things like clarity, depth, make your voice sound warmer, richer.
You're telling me that even though I'm recording in my, let's call it, home studio, it can sound like I'm in a professional recording booth.
Exactly. And you're in control. You can use the AI subtly for a more natural sound, or you can go all out, experiment a bit.
I love that. It's perfect for beginners who want an easy way to sound better, but it also gives more control to experienced creators who want to play around with those advanced tools. Speaking of creativity, let's talk about music and sound effects. I know Podcastle has a whole library, but where do you even start?
That's where you can let your creativity run wild. But remember, a little goes a long way.
So you're saying I should resist the urge to add a dramatic soundtrack to my entire podcast, even if it's just me talking about, like, my to-do list?
Unless you're going for a certain, maybe comedic vibe. Yeah, I'd say go easy on the drama. But seriously, the key is to use music and sound effects strategically to enhance your storytelling. They're like, spices too much can overpower everything else.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you find that balance? How do you know when you've added just enough?
Start by thinking about the mood, the tone you want to create. Do you want your podcast to feel upbeat and energetic? Maybe more relaxed and thoughtful, a little mysterious perhaps? Once you've got that figured out, you can start trying out different sounds and see what fits.
And this is where those AI-powered suggestions come in handy. It's like having a musical friend giving you advice.
Exactly. Podcastle analyzes your podcast, the content, the pace, the whole vibe, and then it suggests spots where a little music or sound effect might sound really good. It's like having a virtual producer whispering in your ear, you know what would sound amazing here? A touch of, say, some upbeat jazz.
Or maybe some creepy sound effects for that cliffhanger ending I've been working on. But really, it's mind-blowing how AI can make things easier, but also help us be more creative.
It really is. And the best part, Podcastle's library is all royalty-free, so experiment away. No need to worry about copyright issues down the line.
That peace of mind is definitely a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're almost there. Our episode's edited, polished. We've added our sonic touches. Now it's time to share it with the world. This is the part where I usually start to panic a little, trying to figure out all the different platforms and how to upload everything correctly. What's the process like with Podcastle?
This is another area where Podcastle makes life so much easier, so you've got a couple of options.
Okay, lay it on me.
You can publish your podcast directly to like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those big names.
Straight from Podcastle.
Yep, right from your dashboard.
No more messing around with different file types or uploading to a million different places.
Exactly. It's super easy.
Right.
But hey, if you like having that control over where your podcast goes, or maybe you've got your own website where you like to host it, you can download the finished episode from Podcastle and upload it yourself too.
So it's all about flexibility and giving us choices. I like that. Whether we want that one-click solution or we like to do things the old-fashioned way, Podcastle's got us covered.
Exactly. And the best part is, no matter how you choose to do it, Podcastle makes sure your podcast is formatted perfectly for each platform so your listeners are getting the best possible experience.
Music to my ears. It sounds like Podcastle's taken all the stress out of podcasting, wouldn't you say?
Totally.
Yeah.
From cleaning up those rough recordings to getting your podcast out there for the world to hear, Podcastle has really streamlined everything. And don't forget, it's all powered by AI, which means it's only getting smarter and more powerful.
That's what's so exciting.
Yeah.
It feels like we're just starting to see what AI can do for podcasting. Who knows what amazing features are coming next?
It's a pretty incredible time to be a podcaster. And with platforms like Podcastle leading the way, the future of audio creation is looking bright. Very bright.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today. We've explored all the ins and outs of Podcastle, from those awesome AI editing features to how easy it is to publish, and even shared some pro tips along the way.
If you're ready to step up your podcasting game, give Podcastle a shot. You might be surprised by what you can create.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into Podcastle. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and happy podcasting.